There we go. Okay. So these you can just count the distance because it's on that straight line. This as a diagonal, you have to calculate what that distance is. So to find the distance of a diagonal, or the length of a diagonal, I'm going to sketch out a right triangle. And the dimensions of this are 7 by 8. So we're going to use Pythagorean theorem to find the length of that diagonal. When you take the square root of 113, you get 10.63. So that represents the distance of that line. Then, to find perimeter, you add up the side length, 7 plus 8 plus 10.63. And you'll get 25.63 units. So area of a triangle is next. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. That's the formula. In this case, you have a right triangle, so therefore 8 is the base and the height will be 7. So filling in the numbers here. When you multiply these numbers, you can multiply them in any order. You could do 8 times 7 is 56, and then divide that by 2. I tend to do anything I can do in my head first. Half of 8 is 4. And 4 times 7 is 28. So the area is 28 units squared. Okay, the next one is a rectangle. In this case, there are no diagonal lines, so you can count the distance. In a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent. So if you know the length of one side, you know the length of its opposite. And then to find perimeter, 6 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8. The perimeter is 28 units. Area for a rectangle is length times width. Area equals length times width. In this case, 8 times 6 gives you the area of 48 units squared. Okay, then moving over to number 3. Number 3 is exactly like number 1. My other classes preferred that I walk them through it again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. So for perimeter, I need the length of all the sides. So I'm going to start by counting the length of this side. Okay, so I got, oh, it's blurry again. Okay, so I got 8 and 9 here. Then to find the length of this side, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. It just so happens that this is already a right triangle, so I'm going to use these dimensions here. So using the Pythagorean theorem, I found that this distance is 12.04. Then to find the perimeter, I'll add 8 plus 9 plus 12.04 to get a perimeter of 29.04 units. It's not units squared because perimeter is just a distance, a straight line, so. And then next is area of the triangle. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Because it's a right triangle, this here is the base and this is the height. It's perpendicular to the base. So I can just plug in the numbers. Then half of 72 is 36, so 36 units squared is the area. Number 4 is where it gets a little bit more challenging because none of the sides, you can't count any of the side lengths. You have to calculate them because it's on a diagonal. So what I'm going to do is just draw right triangles so that way I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the diagonal there. So starting with this one here. Got 3 and 9 as the dimensions. So down here I'm going to work out the Pythagorean theorem. This comes out to 9.49. So that's this distance here. Which again, since we're working with a rectangle, the opposite sides are the same. Then I need to find this length or this length, whichever one you want to think about. And it came out to 6.32. So 6.32 is the length of this side and this side. So to find the perimeter, I'm just going to add 6.32 plus 6.32 plus 9.49 plus 9.49. Comes out to 31.62 units. Now that we have the lengths of the sides, it makes finding area that much easier. Area of a rectangle, length times width. We already have our length and width. It would be 6.32 times 9.49. And that multiplies out to 59.97. The bottom half of the worksheet is exactly like the top, just with different dimensions. What I did also is I put an answer bank up here. So as you get your perimeters and your areas, just look up here, make sure that the number's in the answer bank, and then you'll know that you're doing it correctly. If your answer doesn't come up in the answer bank, just raise your hand and I'll look at your work and see where you might have made a mistake. It's probably a small error if it is one. So just continue on. When you're finished, turn it into the basket, make sure it has all the work, and then if you finish early, you can use the computers to work on Khan Academy. 1, 2.